Many people are shocked when I tell them that canned tomatoes are bad. After all, tomatoes are a vegetable, or technically fruit, so how can they be bad? Well, it has more to do with the packaging than the actual food. If you're used to using canned tomatoes regularly, you may want to reconsider. Continue watching to find out why they can be dangerous and what to use instead. BPA, shortened from Bisphenol A, is a chemical used to coat the lining of cans and most plastic products. BPA can leach into foods and drinks by way of plastic containers, Tupperware, bottles, and cans. Children are most susceptible to the effects of BPA chemicals. Here are just a few of the health problems linked to BPA exposure: hormonal disruption, reproductive harm, increased risk of certain cancers, malformation of organs in children, risk of miscarriage, sperm defects, increased risk of mental disabilities in babies. BPA exposure is widespread mostly because BPA is in most plastics and we use so much of it, especially around our food. A survey conducted by the Centers for Disease Control found detectable levels of BPA in 93% of 2,517 urine samples from people older than 6 years. Why are canned tomatoes so bad? Most cans contain BPA linings unless labeled otherwise, but why focus specifically on canned tomatoes? The issue with canned tomatoes is that their high acidity causes more BPA to leach from the can lining into the food. This means that canned tomatoes have an especially high risk of BPA contamination compared to other canned goods. While other canned goods also pose BPA exposure risks, tomatoes are among the worst offenders due to their acidity. Is it just canned tomatoes that pose a risk? No. Although canned tomatoes may leach more BPA than other foods, any canned food can contribute to BPA exposure. A study published in the Journal of Environmental Research found detectable levels of BPA in people's urine after consuming canned foods, including soup, fruits, and vegetables. Therefore, it's best to minimize your consumption of canned foods and opt for alternatives like glass jars whenever possible. BPA-free cans don't always solve the problem. When the dangers of BPA become widely known, consumers demanded BPA-free products. Companies responded by replacing BPA with another chemical, BPS, bisphenol S, which has similar health risks. While the BPA-free label might reassure some consumers, it is often a false promise. Cans and plastics labeled as BPA-free still contain other chemicals, typically BPS. That's why it's always recommended to use natural products like glass and stainless steel to avoid any type of plastic contamination. So what should you do if you want to use preserved tomatoes? It's not hard to find alternatives for canned tomatoes. Here are 3 great options. Use organic tomatoes in glass jars. Use fresh tomatoes instead. Learn how to can your own tomatoes in jars. It's not too hard to find healthy alternatives to preserved tomatoes. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something today. Subscribe to my channel for more health tips.